A win is a win, or yuck, that was gross. It is Reaction Monday. Landry Locker, Cody Stoots with you. Texans, they've won 10 games for 3 straight seasons. D'Amico Ryans, 10 or more every year as a head coach. But despite the fact they just got their 7th consecutive win for the 3rd time in franchise history, it does not seem like people are feeling great about the performance. Cody, your biggest takeaways from what we saw yesterday between the Texans and Raiders?
It shouldn't have gone down like that. If you're a real good football team, you don't have a performance like that. And I understand that teams have hiccups throughout the course of their schedule, and some teams play an inexplicably close game towards the back end of the season. I certainly understand that happens. But what they showcased last week against a team that's slightly better than the team they played yesterday was more what I expected coming into this one. And for there to be no offensive carryover against a team that is just trying to play it out and get to the end of the season so they can hit the reset button on their entire franchise, to have no offensive carryover from the previous week when you had a really good offensive performance, that's a huge concern. And that's a huge piece of this team where the offense is going to hold them back. The offense is going to doom them. The offense is going to be the reason they didn't do things. And then on a slightly less concerning, but still somewhat concerning element, a team that is just toothless from an offensive standpoint comes in here, and they were able at times to move the ball against this defense that's supposed to be an all-world defense. And it just not enough carryover on offense, too much carryover from the previous week where a team that doesn't have any juice left shouldn't be moving the football against you. I understand that winning's the ultimate goal, and they won, but there's elements and concerns from that game that if they show up again, you're not going to have a very long stay in the playoffs.
Nick Caley's a very easy target for me, and I'm, you know how I feel about Nick Caley, but I do think you have to actually watch games and analyze what's going on. This was a piss poor performance by CJ Stroud. I don't even know that Nick Caley was that bad yesterday. He wasn't great, but I don't know that Nick Caley was really that bad yesterday. I think we wondered because the last few weeks, there's been nothing but praise of the way that CJ Stroud has played. I think there's been even a save but element to it where CJ Stroud has kind of made plays beyond the play call. But in this game, this was as inaccurate as we've seen CJ Stroud all season. The frustration that many had with CJ's performances early in the season, it reappeared. So I don't know that we felt like the early CJ and maybe it stretches last year was a thing of the past, but it appeared. And fortunately for them, it appeared against the Raiders, because if you play like that against anyone else, you're not winning. Like you're not winning, period, point blank, end of story. You're not winning. You're not beating the Chargers. You're probably not beating the Colts, and you're damn sure not winning a playoff game, no matter who you face, if the quarterback performs like that. So teachable win is what I always talk about. And that's really what I would say is this was a poor performance by CJ Stroud as much as it was Nick Caley, not to praise Nick Caley.
Yeah, I thought Nick Caley was awful. The offensive line got pushed around in the run game. That was one of the worst performances they've had all year long in trying to run the football from a team, again, that doesn't have any juice over there. Like if a team that stunk came in and they had like some awesome defensive tackles and linebackers and they could stuff the run, like I get it. But they have one player over there, Max Crosby.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean? What am I talking about?
It's a hell of a football team. Did you not hear D'Amico Ryans? That's a really solid, great football team. What are you talking about?
I don't know who brainwashed them into thinking the Raiders were a good football team. And perhaps they taught themselves over the course of a week that they were a good football team, and they decided to play to the level of that football team as their opponent. That has been such an annoying narrative coming out of this one. Well, that's a good football team. Look how good they are. I'm going to go ahead and get to the point here on one of the Cody's context things. Titus Howard and Dalton Schultz both said after the game, oh, these guys have played playoff teams close. No, they haven't. Not in the past 6 weeks. By
the way, this was their first lead. What came against the Texans. The last time they led a football game was week 11 against the Cowboys. That's the last time they had the lead in a football game.
And they got blown out in that game, by the way. They got smoked by the Cowboys in that game, 33-16. Okay. Oh, they play playoff teams close. Yeah, they had a couple of close games on the scoreboard early in the season with playoff teams. The last time they were in a one-score game with a playoff team was 3 weeks ago against Denver. But it wasn't even a one-score playoff team because the Broncos were winning 24-7 in the middle of the fourth quarter, and the Raiders put a bunch of useless scores on the scoreboard, including a field goal with time expiring for no apparent reason other than to try to make the score look a little bit closer. So, no, they don't actually play playoff teams close. The team they played last week, the Philadelphia Eagles, might be the only team in the league that wants their offensive coordinator fired more than the Houston Texans. And they had an offensive explosion against the Raiders, scoring 31 points. Their quarterback was one of the most efficient games he played all year long. He threw 3 touchdowns. Their defense dominated the Raiders. The Raiders got 0 points a week ago against Philadelphia, who's missing key defender after key defender after key defender and banged up.
Surpassed their yardage total and point total in a little over a quarter in this game compared to what happened last week against Philly.
They hadn't had a 100-yard rusher since September against the Bears. Like, don't tell me this is a good football team. The team that you played last week is significantly better. I know that the wins and losses don't tell you that, but the Cardinals are a significantly better football team, and you manhandled them from the word go. You came in and walked through this one with toxic traits that will sink this team when they play meaningful games. It was disgusting to hear them talk about how good the Raiders are. That's not a good football team. There was 2 players you had to stop, Max Crosby, and you had to stop Ashton Genty. And you couldn't do either of those things. It was awful.
Yeah, and I don't know that D'Amico really believes that. It was an interesting bit. I don't know if he's trying to like show respect to Pete Carroll, who might be on the way out, but to imply that this is a good team, it's not. It's a bad team. Again, first lead since week 11. They average 14 points a game. They're 25th in the league in points per game allowed. This is not a good football team. It was a sluggish performance. Good thing for the Texans is they're good enough to where they can overcome bad performances like this. I would anticipate that the message behind the scenes is a little bit different, but the sales pitch that D'Amico was throwing out there about this being a good football team was a big eye roll for me.
And he did. It's not like he didn't ignore that they couldn't run the football. He called it out 2 separate times. He didn't ignore they had a bad day on offense. He noted it wasn't good enough, but like, the explanation of Ashton Genty having the game of his NFL career is, well, I told the guys he was good this week. Okay, stop him. Like, the guy, I mean, that was the only way the Raiders were getting in the game offensively, was getting the ball to him and having him steal yards because guys couldn't tackle.
Well, I think there was a few things there that I want to get into. We'll get into when we get to the moments, but Cody's context, I think, is good context and necessary context, given what the sales pitch was at the end of the game from D'Amico.
Let me go ahead and finish up the context, because that was the most annoying thing was that, oh, the Raiders are some good team. No, they're not. They're the worst rushing offense in football. They came in here and just hammered you on the ground. Inefficient, poor yards per carry. They came in there, hammered you on the ground. And then from a Texans standpoint, worst rushing performance of the season. There's a stat called success percentage when it measures how well you did and kind of keeping the train on the tracks. Worst performance of the year from them. And then defensively, they had 8 pressures, their lowest pressures in a game since Seattle earlier this year, and we know how that one went. So, I mean, just a sleepwalk performance against a really bad football team that they tried to convince themselves was better than it was.
It was a win, though. It was a win, and now it's on to the Chargers. 1.5-point underdog against the Chargers, who, by the way, they went out. They win the division. So much for that lay down thing. They got a lot to play for.
Swarm.
Tazewell says Christian Kirk reminded us he's on the team barely. He had a good little stretch in the first half.
Captain Kirk has arrived. I repeat, Captain Kirk has arrived.
And quite frankly, I think there were a couple of other opportunities Christian Kirk could have made plays, and CJ Stroud just threw unthrowable balls. But yeah, I mean, it's a low bar. I think he had 33, 35 yards, whatever he finished with, which I think is like his 3rd best performance as a Texan. But yeah, there was a little bit of a Christian Kirk cameo after hearing about the illness.
Yeah, so he did move the chains a couple times.
Mark says Amik Ryans needs to step it up too. So it's not just no O. He's saying no D. So now it's just Amik. There's no defense either, and no defense for D'Amico.
I mean, a team got shut out last week, and they came in here and put 3 scoring drives on you.
I have a theory on that. I think it is what it is, but it's something to keep an eye on looking for. I think there's a couple of things that can explain that that I'll get to in a sec. Trey says, yuck, do you think this game was more that the Texans got caught sleeping? They just looked like they had no juice or heart, specifically Stroud. Stroud had a bad game. Look, this game is less surprising. Like I'm less surprised by this performance on offense than I would be if they just came out and looked flawless. Like let's just be honest. Like we got to be honest with ourselves about what we've seen with this offense. Like it's never looked good. Like the notion that it was getting better was just kind of silly. That was just from like cherry picking some clips and a very low bar early in the season. But this is what they're going to have to do. They're not going to be able to overcome these types of performances with CJ Stroud. I am intrigued to see, because I think Jawar Jordan played his way onto. I think Jawar Jordan is part of the rotation moving forward, and it'll be interesting to see what him and Marks look like. By the way, there's way more of an effort to get Jawar Jordan involved in the pass game than Woody Marks, which is even weirder because you've needed that element all year from the running back position. So if Jawar Jordan is the guy that you trust the most with that element, then where the hell has that been? But it is there, and I think we talked about the audition. I think his carries were 9-1 or 8-1 at half with Nick Chubb. Jawar Jordan and Woody Marks are your RB 1 and 2, and then we'll see what happens with Nick Chubb and how they put that in. But I do think that Jawar Jordan. Couple things about Jawar Jordan. Number one, I actually think he was better than his statistics. I think that there were even some of his 3-yard runs should have probably been 4-yard losses with how early he was hit. So I thought Jawar Jordan, you look at it, it's not like the most impressive thing. I thought that he was better than his actual statistics. And I think you can say the same for Nico Collins, especially drawing the flags. And let's be honest, CJ missed him a couple times too, where he had opportunities to make plays. So I thought Nico and Jawar Jordan, I want to emphasize, were better than their statistical production, what the box score says.
Yeah, I thought Jawar Jordan had a really nice day dealing with the worst blocking performance by not just the offensive line. I mean, you had vintage Dalton Schultz, you had Cade Stover getting bowled over. Other guys weren't blocking very well. Like I thought Jawar Jordan had a really nice game. It felt at times Woody Marks-esque where he's bowling through guys and fighting for extra yards like we see Woody do. And then he had some decision making where he was able to steal a couple of extra feet and inches and yards here and there because nobody was blocking well for him.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he probably should have been in the 30s in yards, but Jawar Jordan ran very well. And the running back can make the O-line look a little bit better. If Jawar Jordan doesn't play this game, I don't know what it looks like, quite frankly. I know Nick Chubb had the run. He had the 2-play stretch where he had the 9-yard reception and then 30-yard run. I thought it was a healthy dose, but I thought Jawar Jordan was.
I mean, Nick Chubb doesn't have the agility to deal with that offensive line's performance, and they would have been dead in the water from a rushing attack standpoint.
There's no doubt about it. Back to the chat. Dom in Jersey says, what's with the lack of pass rush lately? I love Hunter. Huge effort play on the chase down tackle, but he's gone missing far too many games this year. He's been on fire lately, though. He was on fire during the streak. They did have a big whiff. Will had a whiff of Geno Smith. By the way, Geno Smith might. What is his awareness level in Madden? If it's above 14, then that's an unrealistic game. I mean, he avoids Will Anderson, rolls out, has Danielle Hunter running full speed at him, and then he runs out of bounds 8 yards instead of just throwing it away for an 8-yard loss or whatever it was.
Yeah, they got. I mean, like I said, they got only 8 pressures officially on Geno Smith, and that's a bad offensive line they've gone against. I'm not saying they should do to every quarterback what they did to Josh Allen, but there should be semblances of that. And you should make guys far more uncomfortable. And I know they did a good job making Mahomes uncomfortable a couple weeks ago. But these slappy quarterbacks that you play, they should be even more uncomfortable than anybody going against this pass rush. And they just not getting home.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating. So we'll see what it looks like, and we'll get into the big picture. Let's go to the key moments, though. There were a few right off the top. at the start of the game. We found out that not just Woody Marks, but that Azeez Al-Shire would be inactive.
Mm-hmm.
We found that out. I think Azeez Al-Shire was missed. God bless Azeez Al-Shire. Like, I think he did a really good job of improving his coverage, and that's one of the things that I've kind of emphasized to give him credit for. But they clearly missed him against the run, and if improvement or not, if your coverage is that much worse at linebacker without Azeez, then you got some problems. Like you got some real problems if it drops off that much without Azeez Al-Shire. Henry To'oTo'o in coverage is disastrous. It is absolutely disastrous. Henry To'oTo'o. We've seen him burn for massive plays all season, and I do think this defense missed Azeez Al-Shire.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can make a case that maybe the D tackle depth kind of showed up a little bit. But the biggest thing for me, and we'll get in this when we go in the moments, is I give D'Amico credit for being able to mask a lot of the issues that the defense may have. But this was a game where you just couldn't hide Miles Bryant not being a NFL quality starting safety. And God bless Miles Bryant. He's a good utility player. He's able to do whatever, but you look at the safety position and you're missing Reed, Jimmy Ward, MJ Stewart, and you're down to Miles Bryant. There's a reason Miles Bryant started out as a corner, and then he became an inside corner, and now he's a safety. They've done a good job hiding it, and he's done a good job doing whatever he can do. But you can look at almost every big play, massive play that the Raiders made, and he did have one tackle of Mostert on a second down. That was a good open field tackle. But the Brock Bowers touchdown, he was a little bit late. Kalen Bullock, you can say he bit, but he thought he had help over the top. Quite frankly, I think even if Miles Bryant had been there, I think Brock Bowers still catches it. Then you had the Genty play. He whiffed on Genty a couple of times. Like, hiding Miles Bryant at starting safety has worked. They've been able to get away with it. Not this time.
Yeah,
and you're on borrowed time with that.
Well, he got exposed just from a physicality standpoint. I mean, Ashton Genty ran him over twice. Man.
He's little. It's like, just no, I get it, but he's little. It's a lot to ask of him.
That's why when D'Amico Ryans praises him, he praises the between the ears, because like the physicality is not there. He's just not a big enough player to handle some of the physicality. And Genty just, I mean, he ran through him on the big catch after To'o got burned, and then he just fell off of a couple of other tackles that he was trying to make. He just didn't have it.
Yep, no doubt. So we go to the key moments right off the top, just a 3 and out, and they put the stat. By the way, this broadcast, God knows, I would complain if they weren't good. This is a good team. I thought they did a really, really, really good team. I think Andrew's awesome. I actually thought McCourty and Charles Davis mixed well together. So I'm gonna praise this broadcast. I thought it was a really good broadcast. But right off the top, you get the 3 and out.
Which McCourty was it?
No idea. No idea. Then you had the 3rd and 7. I thought CJ Stroud had an incredible play. He knew where Schultz was going to be. He felt the pressure. He got rid of it quickly, and they moved the chains. And I thought it was a perfect play by CJ Stroud. But then on 3rd and 8, we start to see kind of the lack of accuracy. He overthrows Nico, and then he's incomplete to Hutchinson, and you can kind of see signs that maybe CJ Stroud isn't going to be dealing as well as he had the previous 3 weeks.
Yeah, I was like, oh, here we go, overthrow central.
Yep, no doubt.
And it's not like he's like barely missing some of these. Like, he's missing wide, uncompetitive throws.
Then the first touchdown of the game, courtesy of Derek Stingley. He's his first touchdown since high school. Derek Stingley had 5 receiving touchdowns in high school, no touchdowns at LSU, no touchdowns here. He gets the pick 6. Derek Stingley takes it to the house, the oblique injury. He does his thing and finds the end zone, gives the Texans a 7-0 lead.
It's a great job by him. He had to make a contorting turn to kind of come up with it, and then he looked up, nobody in front of him. House call, good job by him.
Yep, no doubt. Then Pistol Pete kind of starts acting a little bit weird. I don't know what this was about, but he challenges like what would have been maybe 4th and inches, and then he decides to punt. Kind of a little bit gimmicky. And then we just get some grab ass, more CJ Stroud inaccuracies. The Raiders punting on 4th and 1. And then another 3 and out for the Texans, 3rd and 13, Dare. And that's the first time we get some boos from the crowd. And there were a lot of boos today. I'm going to ask you, did you have any problem with the boos from the home crowd?
No, not at all.
I think
the
it's
offense,
standards. I think
the offense stunk.
Yeah, I thought it was good standards. I think it's a good job to hold them accountable. And the Boo Birds, that was the first time that we kind of saw them appear. Then we get Brock Bowers. This was first you had Jack Best with the 37-yard reception on Stingley. Stingley kind of bites, 37-yard reception. Then just a little bit, Mostert, the one good play Miles Bryant did make, an open field tackle and Mostert, but then on 3rd and 6, Brock Bowers touchdown, kind of mixes Bullock, and then Miles Bryant a little bit late. Don't think it would have mattered. I think Brock Bowers probably brushes him off like a fly, even if he's there. And they score the touchdown, make it 7-7.
I mean, I thought that was the harbinger of a big day for Brock Bowers, but he ultimately didn't have a huge day, but he did have that nice play in the end zone. And I mean, big physical body. You find the smaller guys on the Texans defense and go make a play.
Yep.
Back-to-back weeks, we've seen the really good tight end find the mismatch in the end zone. Like Damone Clark was on Trey McBride the previous week. That's easy work for McBride. And then Bryant not helping Bullock the right way. And, Bowers gets right in there and finds the end zone.
Yeah. It's just Miles Bryant's a emergency safety for a reason. So like, I'm not gonna sit here and hammer Miles Bryant. Like that's the kind of guy you want on your practice squad that can just step up. Like they didn't like proactively say we want Miles Bryant to be a safety. It's just an emergency situation. So that's how I evaluate Miles Bryant. Maybe it's like some kitty gloves or whatever, but that's just how I am with him.
Swarm.
Few comments. Evan says, "What is the status of Brown and Ursery? Any clues? No idea."
I mean, I'll tell you what,
weird week.
I'd be shocked if Ursery plays based on his helmet was gone very quickly off the sideline when he went to the sideline, and the wrap he had on his hand was enormous. Like I
feel like his hand's been hurt all year too. Remember when I pointed it out to you like a few weeks ago? I was like, something's wrong with his hand.
I wonder if he further injured something that was already like kind of hurt.
Yeah, because it was the same hand too. And I'm just wondering, because I told you, I said, look at that. I think that's something to keep an eye on. And he wasn't even on the injury report, but it does feel like that there's been a hand issue for a while.
Yeah, it looked like he was holding a bowling pin at the end. Like it was huge. I was like, how do you play like that? Like there's no grabbing, like there's no hand anything. And then Trent Brown, who knows? I mean, he looked like he was dying and then he was up the next second.
Yeah, I'm not counting him out. Jay Fan.
You learned your lesson on that one.
Jay Fan says, by the way, I kind of think if they would have just done what was scheduled last Friday, I don't know that happens. That Trent needed us, man. We were supposed to have that interview. Jay Fan says Miles Bryant is not it. Shocked he's still on the team. He's your fourth safety, man. He's your fourth safety, and he's an emergency guy. But they need him on the team. As sad as it is, they need him on the team. Now I don't know how close Jalen Reed is or isn't. He's on the cart where there's got to be some sort of progress going on, but you need him on the team.
He's really the fifth safety when you think about it, because they'd planned in the offseason for CJ Gardner-Johnson to start.
Yeah.
Okay, don't have him. He sucked.
Jimmy Ward,
haven't had him all year. MJ Stewart, the guy that they basically turned the job over to in place of CJ Gardner-Johnson, he's hurt. Jalen Reed broke a plate in his forearm. Don't have him.
Yeah, he's your fifth string safety. It's hard, and he's small. He's more of a corner, probably physically. He gets praised because just because he's even available. So yeah, he's not it. They know that. But he in a perfect world, he's a practice squad guy. They know that. But that just kind of,
and they don't have any delusions of who he is.
yeah, they know. Gustavo says, man, a win is a win. We won it. A win is a win. We wanted, but a win.
Man, a win, not the win we wanted, but a win.
Okay. A win, not the win we wanted, but a win. Stadium got loud for defense and boos for the offense. Hopefully they get their ish together. Now on to the Chargers for a better defense.
The Chargers have been feeling themselves lately.
For a better defense. Mike Jones, he says, but didn't, all caps, he says, but didn't you say you needed them to ice up and that D'Amico needed to do that? Who's they? Like Woody Marks?
Yeah, I mean, they would. Barry Sanders couldn't have run the football yesterday the way they were run blocking.
I would lean on the side of ice up, but the corners did not ice up, fortunately for the Texans.
Yeah, they started the regular starters on the offensive line and they couldn't block. I mean, they started the regular starters on the defensive line. They couldn't stop Ashton Genty. Like Azeez wasn't on the ice up radar. So
yeah, I didn't even know he was hurt. All right. So then the Texans, you get a Christian Kirk sighting, where he gets a 22-yard gain. By the way, Trent Brown completely swallowed up Max Crosby there, like a damn chicken tender. He just completely boom, just like a slice of pizza. And then CJ Stroud overthrows Kirk. So the inaccuracy continues. You got to settle for the field goal. 55 yards from Fairbairn. No problemo.
Yeah, Fairbairn making it look easy from 50 and 50 plus. It's an underrated aspect of this game. I don't know that you can always count on that when you play a better team in a closer game, but it was there for you yesterday.
Then you had a near interception by Kamari Lassiter. He was very pissed about this. The Texans defense does step up. EJ speed swarm tackle, and then the offense. They failed to make it a 2-possession game. You had a 16-yard reception by Dalton Schultz negated by Andrews being downfield. I feel like the ref just wanted to call this on this instance. Like I looked at it, it wasn't as bad as.
It's a horrible call. This was a terrible call.
Yeah, I mean, he just went to his left. Like I was waiting to see it, but I didn't think this warranted an ineligible man downfield by Andrews.
It made me think Puka might have been right. They do want to see themselves on TV.
Yeah, sometimes they just want to call. They just want to call like an eligible man downfield. It's like you can maybe do this every time.
Well, and I was sitting next to Texans cap, and he has like the dots or whatever that show you the play. And he was like, "Watch Andrews," and I'm watching him on the little dot thing, and he's like, how does he get called for that? And I was like, exactly.
He literally moved to the left.
Yeah.
Like literally just moved to the left. He wasn't even trying to go downfield. He literally was just trying to pick up blocks, but it was a suspect call. But they overcame it, right back to Schultz to move the chains. And then a beautiful back shoulder. One of Stroud's 2 best throws for sure of the day. Beautiful back shoulder to Nico. Then another throw to Kirk. And then on 3rd and 5, CJ throws it at the feet of the receiver, and they have to settle for another 50-yarder. So
this was the worst. Was one of the worst plays he made all day long.
Yeah. So the inaccuracy of CJ Stroud continues, and once again, with 2 displays of a lack of accuracy, you have to settle for 6 points.
But this was a multi-level failure on that play, because not only did he rush the decision, the protection was fine. Nobody was coming. He rushed the decision. It was a bad decision because it was 2 yards short of the first down. It was a bad throw. And if he doesn't rush it, Dario Gumboale is, walking in for a touchdown on the right side of the field. But he rushed the decision when there was no reason to rush it. And yeah, they'd gotten a little bit of pressure here and there, but it shouldn't have been happy feet time in that moment. It should have been calm, laid back, make a decision, but CJ was having a bad day.
Yeah, he's having a bad day. Fortunately, they're playing the Raiders. They go up 13-7. Then we get some grab ass going on into halftime. somewhat aggressiveness from the Texans using their timeouts, but nothing really happens. I did support Nick Caley throwing. I thought Nick Caley did a good job of taking shots at the end of the half. The play of the game that iced the game, 2 of them. I thought Nick Caley dialed up some stuff. Again, this wasn't Nick Caley's worst performance. I'm his biggest critic, but this CJ Stroud was worse at his job than Nick Caley was at his. And it takes a lot to do that. But in this instance, that was the case. So we go to the third quarter, more grab ass from the Texans offense. They end up punting, and then the Raiders get their first lead since week 11. You have Brock Bowers wide ass open on third down to where the broadcasters, McCourty and Davis, were like, how in the hell does that happen? Well, all that happened was he just basically went in motion, and then he ran a slant. EJ Speed maybe should have been there, but he
had to kind of make a decision.
He cheated to the right, and Bowers moves the chains, and then Ashton Genty with a 60-yard reception. Henry To'oTo'o, no chance in hell, to quote Vince McMahon. And then, my God, Miles Bryant, what an absolute whiff that was.
Just multi-layers of annoyance on that. To'oTo'o not even being competitive from a coverage standpoint. To'oTo'o giving up on the play, and then Miles Bryant not finishing the tackle. If To'oTo'o keeps running, he maybe tackles Ashton Genty while Bryant has him kind of tied up. But he just kind of – it's like, that's not swarm. That's not swarm, Henry.
All right, so then they take the lead, and then this is where it gets real ugly. And this was the moment. I said this yesterday on the Locker Room postgame show. This was kind of the moment where I wondered, okay, could they really piss this one away? Because Jawar Jordan gets lit the fuck up twice. And he gets absolutely smacked, once on a run and then once on a pass. And then as you're thinking that, D'Amico Ryans basically does what Sean McVay did to the Texans offense. And I do say D'Amico Ryans, and you can follow what I'm saying. They run the ball on 3rd and 15 and they punt. I know Nick Caley's the guy that you get mad at. I would be willing to bet, this isn't like uneducated, that D'Amico Ryans probably just said, let's run and punt and play defense. Like on a lot of those situations, the coach controls it. But the Texans basically sent a message that we don't feel threatened. This is still the Raiders. We're not too worried about it. Quarterback's not playing well.
Good punt by Townsend.
Run it up the middle with Dare, punt, and it pays off immediately as the Texans reel stuff in. An immediate sack by Will Anderson, a near interception by Petrie, and you're getting the ball right back. So good decision by D'Amico there. I know people get pissed about it, but that's a head coach's decision. Zero doubt on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were terrible in the first 2 plays. There was nothing you were going to do. And the way that they had been playing, you make a mistake that deep and you give the Raiders something easy. So smart to do it. And then the defense pays off for D'Amico because they get that 3 and out. And it was Barnett there with that big sack. Barnett just blows through the guy.
Oh, Barnett, my bad.
And has that. I mean, that's what you expect like more often in the game. I know they sacked Geno 3 times in this one, but you just expect a little bit more. But I mean, that 3 and out is kind of like all right, like it was one of those like crack the knuckles, let's get back to work moments for the defense.
Yep.
And a good job by them because the Raiders had nothing going on that drive.
Texans immediately take the lead back. Nico with a nice, solid, healthy gain to move the chains. Then Jawar Jordan, nice little run of 8, but he gets licked on 3rd and 1. I said it before. I'll say it again. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I said it before. I'll say it again. I have no problem kicking field goals on 4th and 1. Right decision. And Kaimi Fairbairn from 49, I believe, 49 yards. It was either 49 or 50.
49.
49. He kicks it through and you take the 16-14 lead. Again, no problem with it. Said it before. Don't care if he misses it. Kick the fucking field goal on 4th and 1 with this team and with this offense.
That was a disgusting 3rd down play. That was pathetic. They ran an outside run to the left. Nobody blocked anybody, and they got smushed. And I'm sitting here, why is Nick Chubb on this team if he can't go get you a 3rd and 1? Up the middle. Also,
whoa. Just stop after why is Nick Chubb on this team?
Also, for 3 weeks, you've been doing this Stover shove stuff. It's 3rd and 1. Do it.
You're calling for the Stover shove now?
Instead of running outside when they couldn't pass block against North Shore or run block against North Shore, yeah.
State champs you're talking about, brother.
Yeah, but they're high schoolers. Like, yeah, no. I am calling for Cade Stover to run the football on the Stover shove instead of running a awful outside run that just got annihilated at every level.
It is SNL Reaction Monday. Be sure to like the video. So the Texans take the 16-14 lead. Then the Texans defense kind of wakes up. You have Lockett absolutely laid out by Petrie. And then the Texans, it looks like they're just going to kind of cruise with this one. So you get a Nick Chubb sighting, 2-piece combo, nice little 9-yard reception, and then a 31-yard run, his season long. And then on 3rd and 8, I'm just gonna say, and I'm consistent when it comes to this. The NFL doesn't call uncatchable balls. So
no, not at
the
all.
Indianapolis game where there was like a complaint about the ball wasn't catchable. I said I didn't think it was a big deal because the NFL doesn't call it. I don't know that this ball was catchable that C.J. Stroud threw with the interference on Nico Collins, but nonetheless, the Texans get the ball.
No, hell no. Ultimate Fan caught the freaking football. Thing was in the stands. Immediately, I looked over at the Texas camp. I said, they don't call it anymore, but that's uncatchable.
Yeah. Lonnie Johnson, by the way, with a whiff of Nick Chubb, and then he gets the pass interference, which was not really a pass interference either.
It wasn't a whiff. He got bulldozed. He got run the hell over.
It was a bulldoze. It was both.
And then not only is the pass like horizontally away from Nico, it's vertically away from Nico. Like,
that's a bad throw.
It was a horrible throw, and Nico got the flag, and it's a great job by Nico to draw the flag.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a little bit questionable, but again, they don't call that, so I don't think it's a bad call because they just don't call that. Like they do not call it. They call that less than a lane violation in the NBA. Yeah. I said it then, I'll say it now. I'm going to remain consistent on it. They don't call that, and they did not call it there. So it was a misfire by C.J. Stroud, which if you don't get that flag, I don't know what the boos are going to sound like at that point. But you take the 23-14 lead, you immediately feel like, okay, they're going to take this home. But then, my God.
The red zone excellence. One play, one score, baby. Red zone excellence.
Dalton Schultz, touchdown, 3rd of the year. His season high, he's already passed the yards by a good margin. His season high for touchdowns as a Texan is 5. So he's 2 away from that. Maybe he can catch that.
Most receptions in a season by a tight end in Texans history. So he's having a good season. He's having a good season. That was as much as I would like to give the Texans credit for that play. Maybe they just knew what was coming from the Raiders and it was a well-timed play call or whatever. CJ did have to make a really quick decision because there was some heat, but the Raiders misplayed the hell out of that. That was the perfect play call for the Raiders defense, and Schultz was wide open. So good job to get that done.
All right, now it gets wild. And this is the final moments of the landlock.
I thought this was wrap up. I was like, all right, there you go. There's the lead. Two possession lead. Here we go.
23-14. You're done, right? I mean, it's the Raiders. They average 14 points a game. You're telling me that they're gonna make this thing interesting? Well, I'll be damned. 3rd and 13, Tucker moves the chains. So you had him there. And then Ashton Genty, so much for making them at least use their timeouts. 51 yards to the house. I do wonder how many Ashton Genty fantasy owners were so frustrated with his performance that they didn't even want to play him this week. But if you didn't, then you're probably even more frustrated with him. But he takes it to the house, 51 yards, and he now has 100 yards rushing, which is a rarity. And the Raiders have made this thing interesting, and it would get even more interesting from there.
Oh, everybody's kind of like in the mass of humanity, and Genty just kind of sees it, goes out, and then cuts back across the middle. Guys are falling off of him, and he just turns on the jets and There you go. Touchdown.
Yep. And then it gets interesting. So you wonder, can the Texans actually kill time? Well, the field position's not great, and it would get worse in a quick second because CJ Stroud takes his eye off the snap. Like it's not a bad snap. It doesn't look like he wasn't looking for it, but CJ Stroud takes his eye off the snap, which results in a 11-yard loss. They then run the ball on second down, and it is now 3rd and 20 plus deep in your own territory. And this is where it's like, oh my God, could they really lose this game? Is the sky about to be falling?
It was, the disaster was knocking on the door, man. The quarterback's not paying attention when the snap happens, drops the ball, puts you way behind the sticks. The defense just got torched for 50 yards on the ground. It's like, you're really going to hand them this very tiny lead back in bad field position? What's going to happen here?
Well, Nick Caley, to his credit, he decides he's going to go for it. And they throw a deep ball to Nico Collins, and Nico Collins draws a flag, which is, it doesn't go in the box score as a reception, but that's as big as any 30-yard reception or whatever it was that you could have. And you get the bailout there. Then you get a Chubb stuff, a Hutch for 5. Go ahead.
I will say on that, I don't believe it's pass interference, but it absolutely was defensive holding. So
yeah, it was a penalty. It was an automatic first down no matter what.
It was going to be an automatic first down. The yards certainly helped, I would think, but it was going to be an automatic first down no matter what. So, the last pass interference, totally not pass interference because it's uncatchable. This one was absolutely a penalty for a first down no matter what you wanted to call.
Yep. So then you go to third down, a nice time for Jaden Higgins to make a cameo. He moves the chains on a 17-yard gain. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, the field position is at least flipped, and you're not going to be punting from your own end zone, and the Raiders are now having to use timeouts. Then Jawar Jordan, 11 yards. Then the Texans, I'll be honest, they've gotten away with a couple of face masks the last few weeks. And they fell victim to one that should have been a face mask and ended the game on the Raiders. D'Amico Ryan's a little bit pissed about it, but we saw Togiai and Bullock get away with face masks in crucial moments. So maybe you can just charge that one to the game. I do.
They also got a fake pass interference 2 drives earlier. So
charge it to the game. And then on 3rd and 8, Nick Caley again kind of showing those coconuts. He throws it to a deep shot to Nico Collins, and CJ Stroud makes one of his 2 best throws of the game. The back shoulder fade to Nico is in the running, and then this ices the game, and that is the end. The Texans survive and advance. The Texans 10 wins. The Texans 1 step closer towards making the playoffs, although nothing really went your way when it comes to scoreboard watching, except maybe the Patriots beating Baltimore yesterday. But that's neither here nor there. The Texans get a dub. Those are the landlock key moments here on SNL Reaction Monday.
Yeah, it shouldn't be survive and advance against that Raiders team. Like, is somebody else with a pulse comes in here maybe, but the Raiders with a team that's they're gonna hit franchise reset in the offseason. Like, this is, even the Raiders people were like, whoa, look at this. That doesn't usually happen. Raiders lady.
This team never quit fighting. They never quit fighting. What a ball! What an effort.
Then I was as I was writing, one of the Raiders guys was doing his post game podcast, and he was like, "Boy, you're not going to convince me that Max Crosby is any less good than anybody else except for Myles Garrett." And I was like, "Oh boy, here we go." He's like, "I think you could trade it for 3 first-round picks." I was like, "What? What are you doing over here?" We also had a cheer in the press box moment on the Genty touchdown reception.
From who?
Raiders PR.
That's at least, it's not appropriate, but it's at least somewhat understandable, right?
Stand up, yell, clap. That was a little much.
Maybe they just know that Genty's been going through a lot.
Well, yeah, they changed his stance early on. Couldn't run the football.
They gave his stance to Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb does it now.
Yeah, doesn't quite have the same kind of.
Always done that.
I don't. Maybe
so.
I don't know. It doesn't really strike the fear that Genty doing it does. Once back in the day, maybe, but now, no.
Yeah. So there we go. That's the moments on the chat here on Reaction Monday. The X-Man says, Azeez is the glue that holds this defense together. Without him on the field, y'all saw the result. No wonder he's D'Amico and McNair's favorite.
Yeah, I do wonder if there is some of the stuff that would have been cleaned up if you had just a little bit of extra of what Azeez brings to the table, not only from a physicality standpoint, but making sure everybody's in the right spot. So I do wonder about that. But Azeez doesn't make Miles Bryant 4 inches taller and 50 pounds heavier.
You know what this is solidifying, right? And this kind of goes to a conversation we were having at the last SNL gathering, which, speaking of which, we want you at the next SNL gathering. We're going back to our home base. We were there this weekend. Spanky's January 2nd. So this will be heading into the final game of the season, perhaps clear playoffs. Spanky's, we want you there. This is going to be a packed one. We're going to be there after that too. We're going to have to squeeze 2 more Januaries as well. So it's going to be a crowded January at Spanky's. We didn't want to do a December, so we're going to go January 2nd and then 2 others as well. But January 2nd, let's celebrate the new year together. Let's drink some beer. Let's eat some food. Let's go.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. We're going to have a lot of fun out there and be a great way to start the new year, because if you look at the calendar and you're thinking about your health and doing good, that doesn't start till January 5th. So go pig out some pizza on January 2nd.
You know what the craziest thing is? And by the way, that's a weird theory by you. That sounds like someone who likes to consume a lot of food. But we saw
supposed to start on Thursday.
We saw people eating at Spanky's that we didn't even know were going to be there. So the word is spreading.
Yeah, we saw Dwayne from Platinum AC and Heating.
Yeah, we saw homeboy from Florida with his dad and all that. Yeah, it was a good time. So shout out to Spanky's. We'll see you the 2nd. We look forward to seeing you there. Evan says can't play like that next week. We'll lose by 40. I don't know if they'll lose by 40. We'll see what happens with the Chargers.
The Chargers. Yesterday was like a peak, like, Harbaugh's just dragging these guys to the finish line. They did the tush push while Herbert's literally bleeding on the field. Like, he's hurt. He's got a messed up hand. He's got like a thing on his elbow. He's bleeding. And they're like, tush push. It's like, okay, like what's going on here?
I don't know. And you look at this, the playoff picture right now. I don't know that I've seen a better grouping of good coaching jobs than what we've seen this year when you actually look like beyond the result. Like New England, I know that their schedule is like the easiest schedule in the last 25 years, whatever that is. It's also a young team and they're not that good. Like Mike Vrabel could easily win coach of the year. Like them doing what they're doing is incredible. Denver is they just don't beat themselves. I know they got their ass beat yesterday, but Sean Payton's coached his ass off. Liam Cohen, I mean, my God, what a crazy that guy is. What a crazy son of a bitch that guy is. That guy's absolute insane. They're not that good. They're doing a good job. Mike Tomlin, you do this all the time, man. So I'm not saying it's like a bad coaching job, but God, you've been the same team for 15 years despite not having a damn quarterback. So the Steelers, good coaching job. Chargers, my God, you're down to your 7th and 8th offensive lineman at certain points. Your quarterback breaks his hand. You lose your running back. Your defensive guys are banged up. You're in a division where we've already mentioned the Broncos. You have the Chiefs too. Like them being where they're at is absolutely insane. Shane Steichen, you haven't had a quarterback. I don't even know how y'all are even in the mix, but y'all are. Y'all were historic with Daniel Jones. Then you try to lump it in. He's done a good job. And then D'Amico's done a hell of a job too. Although I think D'Amico's kind of where you thought he would be. I think all these other ones, it's like, damn, they could have been a lot worse. D'Amico's done a good job, but it's kind of where you thought they would be. They're basically, I don't want to say the Texans are the same team this year as they were last, but they're kind of the same team this year that they were last year. And then Buffalo, meh.
Yeah, Buffalo's actually, you could argue they've done a bad job. in Buffalo. McDermott should have been running away with the AFC East, but he's a dipshit. D'Amico deserves credit for the pulling up on the nosedive. They were in an 0-3 start, you know?
I guess. I mean, that's self-inflicted. Like, I know they call it adversity, and I know, like, based on the definition of adversity, you can say that's adverse, but it's self-inflicted. It's not like, your starting tackles got hurt, or, like, I think that was kind of self-inflicted.
Well, they stopped inflicting.
This is true. This is very true. Shout out to Texans Turf, the greatness that is Dan the man. I love my Texans Turf. I was just back there, cleaned it up. I love it. Always green, always clean. Putting greens to play areas, playing surfaces. No job too big, no job too small. Customized with the drainage. Most of these companies, these turf companies, they suck. They're terrible. They're awful. They rip you off. But whether it's my crib or some of the biggest cribs in town, he's got you covered. Dan the man is the guy. They're always on the grind, always doing their thing. And they can do for you what they did for me and what they've done for a lot of viewers and a lot of people. I was a customer before the partnership. You should be as well. Get that Texans Turf. It'll be the best thing you do for your home. Go TexansTurf.com.
You ready for some Kings of the Turf?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm worried about you today. Kings of the Turf, presented by Texans Turf. The three guys that balled out the most. I'm worried about you. Go ahead.
What are you worried about?
I think you're gonna whiff. Yep.
What did I whiff on?
Go ahead. Just go ahead.
Nico Collins, fantastic. Draws the 2 pass interference penalties. Has the big catch. Reliable. Derek Stingley, pick 6. Jawar Jordan, in the face of a horrible blocking effort, still gets what he does done. Gets some tough yards, some first downs, catches the football. What? Say it. You got something, say it.
This is some disrespect, dude. Fairbairn deserves that 3rd spot. That's messed up. Fairbairn deserves this 3rd spot. I know you're acting like you're a butt kickers. Fairbairn.
Who are you putting in? Who's in over Fair? Who's getting off the
over Jordan? I thought Jordan did a good job beyond the stat sheet, but Fairbairn deserves one of those spots. That's they don't win this game without Fairbairn. That's disrespectful.
The only reason his ass trots on the field is because Jordan got him into field goal range.
Man, that's disrespectful, man. That's disrespectful. That's the Texans Turf, Kings of the Turf, presented by Meathead. Kickers aren't real football players. Cody Stoots. Go to TexansTurf.com.
Well, you serve a false king.
All right, let's go to shots fired at Jesus. Let's go to the performances. CJ Stroud, I close to an F. I would say this was his worst game of the year, by far his worst game since returning. I thought he was worse than Nick Caley. I think the standard he set, he came up short. Good news is I don't think this is going to be the norm. But that bad CJ Stroud that was kind of a distant thing of the past that we haven't seen in months, it kind of appeared, and this was not good.
Yeah, this was not like your offense is too inconsistent. The quarterback can't be inconsistent too. And he was super inconsistent in this one. Quick decisions that were bad decisions. Got a couple happy feet moments when there wasn't really a lot of pressure coming in this one. And it's bad performance by CJ Stroud. And I know some people have been like, well, look at the couple drives where it looked good. Yeah, but some of that was still bad in those drives. It was checkdowns and guys went and made plays, or the running backs went and made plays. Like, it's not like this was some awesome CJ Stroud performance in the second half and he bounced way back from the first half. It didn't feel that way to me.
Hold him to a standard that he has set. This is a bad, very, very, very bad performance by CJ Stroud. Running backs.
I thought that they did the best they could with the situation that they were put in. I mean, this was one of the worst run blocking games of the season. Actually, it was the worst run blocking game of the season by the offensive line. And this is an offensive line that for a few weeks have been pushing people around, and they went out there and Max Crosby and a bunch of schmucks pushed them around.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the running backs did everything they could and more. I thought Jawar Jordan had some hard tough yards, getting hit in the backfield, the receiving element. I'm actually very intrigued to see what the mix of Jawar Jordan and Woody Marks looks like. I'm actually very excited to actually see that. And I think we've, at the very least, the biggest accomplishment on offense is I think Jawar Jordan passed the audition that we spoke of. And I think that the run game, it's not great. It hadn't been great, but there's at least some excitement, and there's an opportunity for Nick Caley to blend in by far the best running backs that he's had this year at the top of the depth chart. And hopefully Woody Marks iced up and Woody Marks is good to go. He's playing Saturday. Like, just to make that clear, he's playing Saturday. He probably wanted to play yesterday, I would imagine, knowing him. I didn't even see him on the sidelines, but I would imagine he looked like a kid that got grounded during recess.
He's probably pouting. They didn't play him.
Yeah, he wants to play. So I thought that was a solid performance by the backs, and I'm excited to see what it looks like moving forward.
I am
wideouts. Nico Collins better than his stats. Christian Kirk, one of the better stretches that we've seen from him. He disappeared in the second half. Every play that they were asked to make, like, I can't point to a mistake by the wide receivers. I think that CJ Stroud, a lot of times that there were uncatchable balls to where just the three guys that we've mentioned between Kirk, Collins, Higgins, like, you can point to those guys and say there were times where they weren't even given a chance to make a play because of the inaccuracy by Stroud yesterday and the off day that he had. So I thought the wide receivers were fine.
Yeah, it's good performance by them. Did what they could with the situation. Nico kind of drags them into a solid performance where you're not too disappointed with what the wide receivers put together because they shouldn't have that many opportunities.
Sumo LR on the chat says, how much longer are we going to accept bad performances from CJ? And when he has an okay game, the fan base treats him like a king. I would say it's kind of split. I like when you say the fan base, I don't think I think there's a nice chunk who are kind of on the other side. So
yes,
maybe you're putting too much stock in the counter of how you feel. And look, I've trust me, I've been in the mix of like the venom of the people that are that are frustrating you. But yeah, I think you need to balance your franchise quarterback and hold him to a decent standard. Which is what we try to do here. But yeah, I don't know that mediocrity is being accepted. I actually thought he's been okay the last few weeks. I respect the surroundings, but performances like this is, I'll put it this way. Davis Mills never played a game this bad.
Not this year.
Yeah, CJ Stroud is better than Davis Mills. We established that. But Davis Mills never played a game this bad.
Yeah, not this year.
This is the worst QB performance of the season, and this is by far the worst of the win streak. Of the seven wins, this is by far the worst QB performance. Not close, right?
Yeah, probably.
Tight ends.
Awful. I mean, they're a part of the run blocking issue. Stover and Schultz got whopped a couple times by nobodies. Like, it's one thing, like, okay, you ask Dalton Schultz to go out there and block Max Crosby. You probably shouldn't do that. But, like, I mean, even when he did get asked to do that, light resistance. Like, I thought the tight ends played terrible.
It wasn't awesome. It was coming off their best performance. This was one of the more suspect performances, despite the touchdown. Although Schultz still appears in key-ish moments. Offensive line, really bad. I did think early on, though, I thought Trent Brown was doing a good job on Max Crosby. I thought early on, if CJ had hit some throws, maybe they pull away in this game. But I think early on that Trent Brown was doing a pretty good job on Max Crosby.
I thought that they had some really nice pass blocking moments. Coincided with the worst run blocking performance of the season.
How does Blake Fisher at left tackle make you feel?
Scared to death. I mean, Fisher. Well, here's the thing: if these guys are hurt, Blake Fisher is going to have to play one of the two tackle spots.
Well, you know what the good news is down the stretch, they got a veteran who they spent a lot of money on, and Cam Robinson's going to step right in and give you a serviceable left tackle. So they're good there. They'll be okay.
I don't know what it says that he might be worse than Blake Fisher on the Browns. Like, he's awful, dude.
Okay. Mark that. If they let Blake Fisher start a full game at left tackle, I want that marked.
Okay. Well, I don't think they're going to let him start a full game at left tackle. I think if both the tackles are gone, I think they're going to play Blake at right tackle and Titus at left tackle.
Okay. Mark that. Whew, that's bad. That's bad.
Cam Robinson's been very bad in Cleveland.
Yeah, he's not good. D-line, but I think he's a good backup. D-line,
I mean, at best,
not great. Not great. Yeah, not great at all.
I mean, they got 3 sacks. They had some key play moments from a pass rush standpoint, but one of the lowest pressure numbers of the season against a piss-poor offensive line. And the defensive tackle behind Togiai and Sheldon Rankins they got nothing behind those guys. Will and Daniil weren't darting in, helping on the run game much either. Like, I mean, it was a bad day by the defense line.
Not great. Not great. Linebackers, EJ Speed had some moments. There was some flash plays, but I think as far as I'll put it this way.
F.
I can never mind.
I mean, these are the guys who are supposed to clean some stuff up. They're the guys that they're supposed to be the heartbeat of the defense. And I mean, Henry's getting burned, falling off of tackles. I don't give a damn. EJ Speed got downhill 2 times.
Two things. Number one, I think if you're just watching the game, you feel like EJ Speed had some good stretches, but you also now understand why Colts fans were just very frustrated when he was playing a large chunk of the snaps at linebacker. You have a very good understanding of that. I also would imagine that his film session with D'Amico Ryans is not going to be very enjoyable. Like when you look at other stuff that EJ Speed did outside of the flash plays. So I think there's like good, bad kind of trade-off there. Henry To'oTo'o is what he is. Like he's not good in coverage. He's a day 3 pick. He's a serviceable starting linebacker. But if he is your best linebacker, then you have one of the worst linebacking groups in the league. Period. Point blank. End of story. I think the other point that I wanted to make on top of EJ Speed, I think yesterday solidified D'Amico's drafting a linebacker in the first 2 rounds this year. Like he's drafting a linebacker in the first 2 rounds this year.
Well, yeah, Aziz might get a contract extension. If I was Aziz's agent, I'd call it today and be like, "Hey,
hold out.
You guys really want him to go into next year with just 1 year left on his deal? Are you sure?"
What if he holds out before the playoffs? He says, I'm opting out of the Chargers game, bowl game style, if you don't put me in there.
He does the old this is very much inside wrestling. The old Jeff Jarrett with the Intercontinental title. Give me $100,000 or I'm leaving with the title. Give me a new deal or I'm not showing up to shave the middle of the defense.
Yeah, so F from them. DBs, corners were good. I mean, there wasn't any receiver like going crazy. There was the one play to Besh where Stingley got overly aggressive. Maybe he was just kind of like, okay, I already got a pick 6. This is a grab ass squad. I'm gonna try to make a play. So he got kind of lost there.
That's like the only play Jack Besh has made all season long, too.
Literally. I think he had a handful of catches. Kamari Lassiter was good. He had a damn near interception that I know he was kind of pissed about. Miles Bryant stinks. Like we know this. I like it just based on performance, you give him an F. But when you're the 5th safety and you're more physically a corner and you're kind of a utility guy, they've done a really good job of hiding him. But what am I supposed to expect from Miles Bryant? I'm surprised this didn't happen sooner against a better opponent. So it's not great. I'll give the DBs as a whole, I guess, a C, just because Miles Bryant was so bad. But if let me put it this way, if MJ Stewart or Jimmy Ward or Jalen Reed played like this, it would be closer to a D because I think the safeties would cancel out. But I don't expect much from Miles Bryant. It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah. I think it's a very fair assessment of the situation with the DBs.
Special teams, Got to give it an A. There weren't really any big returns from Noel this week. But Kaimi Fairbairn, 49, 50, 55. Even though Stoots didn't respect the performance, I did. They don't win without it. And then Tommy Townsend, good job punting. No big plays from the Raiders on special teams. And Kaimi Fairbairn, by the way, in the landing zone, in the back of the end zone. Good job, Kaimi. Don't try too hard to aim it, though, from now on. But that was a perfect kick by you.
And a couple big thumps from the coverage units, too.
It's a violent ass. This is a violent kickoff team now. And by the way, I got to give him credit. I always give Rick a hard time in the chat. Jamal Hill's bringing some juice to the special teams. Jamal Hill bringing some juice to the special teams.
He's
a head hunting mofo.
He does the Lassiter when he gets a big play too. He does the head slap thing.
Well, they sit by each other. They're boys. But he's been pretty violent on that kickoff. Jamal Hill. Him
and British Brooks are thumping fools.
I think Christian Harris is doing a pretty good job on kickoff too. It's a violent kickoff team.
It's a shame they made him a STD instead of a linebacker.
Well, here's the problem, man. You don't get penny stock doesn't pay for kickoff teams, so
yeah,
still losing.
Yeah, they just turned it. I mean, you can't tell me Christian Harris couldn't have done a little bit better than Henry yesterday. I know there's some extra duties and stuff that come with it because Toto is the green dot guy, and Jake Hansen got hurt. He's apparently the backup green dot guy. So it's like, okay, you have to have Toto out there. I was ready to see some Christian Harris yesterday with the way the line was playing.
I don't know what's happened. I don't know if the athleticism's lost. D'Amico always gets the benefit of the doubt when it comes to defense from me, but man, he's either in a doghouse, or the athleticism's gone, or whatever, or Henry Toto just does all like the bit stuff that D'Amico values. But yeah, I'm with you. I thought maybe this would be like a little glimpse of what Christian Harris was 2 years ago, an opportunity to see it, but we haven't seen it. He's just a kick. It's just, non-factor. Coaching.
I thought the
British Brooks hits too. My bad. I didn't bring that up. Yeah, British Brooks is a crazy son of a bitch.
Yeah, I don't know why the chat acted like I didn't mention British Brooks. I definitely did.
Yeah, British Brooks too. Yeah, violent.
I thought that there were some really bad moments from Nick Caley. I thought he trusted the rushing attack a little bit too much. The quarterback did a bad job for him, but special teams was good. And I don't think coaching was the thing that I would point to with the defensive lapses.
Yeah, I wouldn't point to it with the offense. I think on defense, Miles Bryant, you're not going to be able to hide him all the time. And on offense, I thought the quarterback wasn't very good. Nick Caley stinks. We know this. Like, it's not. This is not that hasn't really wavered. He is what he is. He has his limitations, but yeah, it wasn't terrible coaching performance. There weren't any like mistakes that I can really point to and say they should have done this. Quite frankly, I think Nick Caley deserved better results than what he got. And I think the other thing is the willingness to air it out on 3rd and long and not go conservative paid off. So got to give him some credit for that.
Oh,
It's kind of sad that this is like the what a job by Nick Caley type of game, but you factor in a couple good plays on 3rd and CJ. There it is. I also wonder if there's like an element with Nick Caley where it's like, damn it, the coach is gonna handcuff me in certain situations to where I have to be conservative. And now, whenever it's my chance, whenever I actually get to call the play, I'm gonna be overly aggressive. It's like when the kid with strict parents gets out of the house and all like doing all the keg stands. I feel like that's Nick Caley on 3rd down now because D'Amico controls like the 3rd and 15s and like the end of the first half and all that. And Nick Caley's just like, I'm gonna go nuts.
Yeah. See what I can do when you let me be me. It's like, oh, you can draw 2 pass interference penalties and toss it up to Nico.
So there you go. Any other takeaways that you want to mention when it comes to the Texans W over Las Vegas? Anything else?
I mean, I feel
like we've covered a lot.
Coming out of this one, huge D'Amico Ryan's week again to get some of this stuff cleaned up. I mean, I know Azeez, if he comes back, that helps clean some things up, but getting the whatever he can do to help get the quarterback back on track, like big D'Amico Ryan's week to get everybody dialed in.
Yeah,
they look sluggish. I mean, the offensive line walked off the field one time, and like Titus was bitching about something, and the other guys were just kind of. And it's like there's no juice over there. Like you got to have like you told them all week it was a good team. Like where's the juice? Like that was a little bit on the head coach.
Yeah, and this could be a real interesting, like tonight's the Monday night game. Like if God forbid Indianapolis wins, then
God forbid my wallet if that happens.
You got some interesting things going if that does happen. Hopefully it doesn't, and then the playoff picture will be pretty set. It'll be cut and dry with the Texans. It'll be a combination of one will be the magic number with the Colts. Yeah. But yeah, it could get very interesting. But this is going to be a good challenge for them on Saturday, and we'll see what happens. One thing that we can agree on, and I think this is the glass half full, half empty, perfect transition into that, is a win is a win. That's true. It's much better than losing. Some teams in the past, perhaps even the first two installments of the D'Amico Ryan's Texans, might have found a way to lose this game. We've seen it. We saw it in year one against Carolina, last year against the Titans. So they're able to sleepwalk through wins against bad teams. But the one thing we can agree on, if they put out a performance moving forward like they did yesterday, you're going to lose. It doesn't matter who you're playing, you're going to lose.
If they played that game for the next 2 weeks, I mean, the Colts probably aren't going to be the real threat, but like you're going to be going into the playoffs with just no hope in that 7 seed. Like it'll be awful.
Well, if they do it the next 2 weeks and the Colts win the next 3, then you
Colts ain't winning the next 3 though.
I'm just saying if. Cody just keeps doubting the Colts.
Yeah.
Eventually it'll pay off.
Exactly.
Did you make up your losses yesterday in any way, shape, or form?
I finished almost even for the week after climbing out of the A&M hole.
Yeah. I climbed out of the A&M hole nicely. And you know why? Because I've watched Quinn Ewers play football. Appreciate everyone for rolling through for Reaction Monday. Again, SNL the 2nd. We will be at Spanky's. We'll be dropping some stuff for you throughout the week. I do have a lot of Christmas stuff going on. Cody's doing his thing, but we're going to drop some specials on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. We're having a draft, and we'll take your suggestions in there because I know you guys are crazy. We're going to have a 5-event craziest things that have happened to the Texans this season. Craziest things that have happened to the Texans this season, or craziest events of the season. We're going to do that. That's going to be the Christmas Eve drop. Christmas, we'll have some hackage there, and then we'll be live Friday. Texans back at practice tomorrow. They're packing it all together. They're going to have Kaylee, Stroud, locker room, all that. So we got you covered. Happy holidays to all. Win is a win. ... But we got a lot to talk about. Localized POV tonight on the locker room. We appreciate y'all for rolling through. By the way, Cody, your mom said that she's making like some crazy ass pie for you for Christmas. What is this?
Oh, she said, is it buttermilk pie or chess pie?
Chess pie. I never heard of it, but it sounds very filling.
You definitely heard of it. We literally talked about it on the show 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with that.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like the best way I can describe it is like a southern custard pie. It's very good.
Yeah, I saw it. We saw Mama Stoots. We dropped off Mama Stoots present. All right, me and my daughter. All right, appreciate everyone for rolling through. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. Be sure to always remember to like the video. And when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.
I would like to issue an apology for Kyami Fairbairn. I respect you. Cody does not.
Do your job and